This video is brought to you by the University Writing Center, a unit of the Department of Rhetoric and Writing at the University of Texas at Austin. You can contact us at uwc.utexas.edu.
Hello, my name is Erin, and I'm going to talk a little bit about insufficient analysis and commentary on quotes or other scholars' ideas. So this is something that I see at all stages of the graduate career, and it often comes at the ends of paragraphs, but it can really happen anywhere. And it's important to be aware of this kind of thing because as graduate students, as emerging scholars, we want to make sure that our voices are not getting lost in all of the citing that we're doing to try to establish all of the hard work that you've done with your research. So I'm going to start with an example that is actually from my writing from back in my coursework days. And I will then show you a little bit about how I started to work on revising it. So Isabel Robin likewise emphasizes in her comparative discussion of the will in Convergence and in Hardy's verse drama, The Dynasts, that for Hardy, the immanent will is an indifferent entity that provides cosmic patterns. The comparison that Robin undertakes leads her to conclude that the stillness of the ship in the poem's present tense moments implies that the will has made out of the ship, quote, an icon to mythologize human achievement, human pride, human error. In other words, in Convergence, Hardy mythologizes the futility of human ambition. So I highlighted here all of the attention that's given to the scholar. In green, we have some specific descriptions of what Isabel Robin is doing, and we have a quote as well. And then the final line is kind of just a paraphrase summary of all of the other things that I just established. There's nothing from me here. And this was actually the end of a paragraph. And so I ended here, moved on to a new topic. So when you're dealing with something like this, a good way to approach it is through something like a they say, I say template. This can really help you to think of what you're doing as responding to other scholars, other ideas within a conversation. So a couple of different approaches here. You could do something like agree or disagree. You could offer a new way of looking at things. You could expand or add what the scholar is doing. You could complicate what they're doing, or you might point out gaps, things that they've overlooked. And then your contribution would be more information on that thing that they've overlooked. And so one way that I started to expand on this was really just prioritizing my own reading of the text and using the scholar's work to kind of springboard into that reading. And one thing I want to point out here as well is that there are, disciplines will have different ways of making these rhetorical moves. In my field, it is not uncommon to see something like a first person. I would add that. But if you're in a field or just stylistically you prefer not to use the first person, you could also use something like a furthermore, which implies that you're expanding on the previous point. So it's another rhetorical way to, again, position your voice in relation to the scholar. And so what I've added here, I've kept everything else the same, and then just the orange part is adding just some framing at the argument level to what exactly this quote is, what the scholar is doing for my argument and how it serves my purposes in making the statement that I want to make about this poem, this text, this historical moment, whatever it is that you are arguing about. And so I won't go through and read this word for word, but I've added, some specific things that I've noticed about the text and use that as a way of responding to the scholar, and again, tying it to the overall argument that I am making. It doesn't necessarily need to be this long. It can also be, within a sentence. One piece of advice that I've gotten in the past I will say for much smaller research projects, would be to not make a scholar the subject of one of your sentences. And so rather than having something like Isabel Robin emphasizes, it would be something like, while Isabel Robin emphasizes X, I would emphasize Y. And so that would be a more sentence level way of, again, positioning your voice in relation to the scholar and giving a little bit more space and priority to what you have to say. So that's a quick look at responding to other scholars and the quotations that you're using. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the Writing Center. Bye.